Hello folks, welcome to the Land Tamer channel. Unfortunately, we're unable to stream to Twitch tonight. There were some issues with streaming, but we're doing fine right now. I think we're just going to record, upload this to YouTube. And it's been great to have this series about first-timers experience at Cisco Live. We're going to talk some more about that. This right here, this photo is actually when I first walked in. Well, actually, when they first opened what is called World of Solutions. And World of Solutions is the area where the test center is, right? And when they first opened it up, 10 a.m. Monday morning, I walked in and went straight for this area. And it's a beautiful area. This is not even all of it, but this is the walk-in self-paced labs lab area. And it was beautiful. So that's what we're going to talk about today. This is part 4 in the series, Walk-in Self-Paced Labs. And I have to say, to be honest, this is probably one of my favorite parts of the entire experience at Cisco Live. And I'll tell you why in a moment, but let's pull up the specific agenda for tonight for this particular section. And I have Twitch chat up, if anybody wants to chat on Twitch. I know some people there were ready to watch, and I had some issues for some reason. I'm not sure why. I'm just going to check real quick, too, to make sure that my stats look good here for recording. Yeah, it looks okay. So, WISP, what is it? Well, again, it stands for Walk-in Self-Paced Labs. And you just saw kind of the facilities. It's part of the World of Solutions. Now, World of Solutions area of Cisco Live, it's like a big show floor. You know, you essentially have it at Orange County Convention Center, and I'm sure most of Cisco Live events are this way. You have areas where, you have the keynote, which is like a large concert-style audience. You have a lot of breakout sessions at different conference rooms and other areas. And then you have a showroom floor, quote unquote. The showroom floor, it has area for Cisco and their booths and their, walk-up areas. There was also for other vendors and partners, and, they had kind of their section. And then you had this areas like this. They're Cisco-related areas, specifically Cisco, managed by Cisco, and this was the area of the walk-in self-paced lab, and it's kind of cordoned off. There's a line typically to register for an exam. Unlike the breakout sessions, you cannot pre-register for what is part of the WISP area. So it's first come, first serve, and it opens at 10 a.m. The entire World of Solutions open at 10 a.m. here. And there was typically a large line. In fact, the first day, you may have seen it on Instagram, there's like a mob scene. Everybody waiting outside the door. They open it up and just all these people. So I waited a few minutes. This was Monday. I waited a few minutes, and then the first thing I did was go right towards WISP because I'd heard people talk about it. I'd heard people recommend going here. And it's definitely a good recommendation to do. Now, what people had told me was that it's best to go towards the beginning of the week, because these PCs, and they're not stalwart PCs by any means, and monitors and keyboards and stuff, just regular gear. And just imagine this area being filled for multiple hours throughout the day. As a matter of fact, Monday was open from like 10 to 7 p.m., 10 a.m., 7 p.m. Other days it was open just till like 5 p.m. And I think some days it was like Thursday, it was only open maybe half a day. But just imagine this equipment getting beat up. The labs, I don't know where, what servers are using. I'm sure it's in the cloud, and it's based on Cisco expert level training infrastructure. But just imagine all these environments being spun up, spun down, and just being hammered throughout the day and throughout the week. So everyone recommended, definitely go in the first part of the week, because some of the wear and tear may show during the end of the week. Now, that being said, I went on, I think it was Monday, and I have the list here. I'm going to pull it up. I had all these windows open. I just had to close them because of the streaming issues here on this computer. But if you go to the shared folder in the Google Drive, there is a Cisco Live 2018, and then you have this Walk-in Self-Paced Labs list. This is a list. I actually downloaded it. So you walk up and they have a screen that is showing all these labs, and they have a piece of paper that you can grab that shows you all the labs that are going to be available supposedly in WISP. And I started looking at this list at first. I knew there was going to be good stuff. I had no idea what, I heard that it was like an actual lab. It's the same as what's used in the real lab. So my whole idea in the beginning was, well, let me try to focus on and sign up for a lab that is similar to what the real lab is like for routing and switching IE lab. So I pulled up this list, and one of the first things I thought I would do is I noticed that DIAG is on here. So you have certification. We'll just walk through this real quick. You have certification, you got collaboration labs, DevNet. Now, DevNet had its own area in the world of solutions. In fact, they had a huge area, probably the largest area of space was DevNet. And I'm going to talk about that later this week, or later in this series. So there's only one thing there, and then they had data center, enterprise networks. And you'll notice here, if you look, like some of these are introductory topics, like 1000 series, introductory Viptela topics. Someone next to me during one of the days was taking this lab, and I heard the proctor talking to them about it and said, yeah, you don't really need to know anything about Viptela, but this lab is just going to walk you through some of the basics. And, that's pretty cool. I like that idea that there's different levels of labs here depending on, what you need. So enterprise networks, security, and service provider. Here are the hours, yeah. So as you can see, Monday was till 7. Tuesday, Wednesday were till 5, and Thursday was till 1. So it was open for 4 days. So I immediately went to the certification area. I said, okay, I want to feel what's in the lab. My goal here is, as everyone says, when you first sit for the routing and switching lab, there's a certain amount of shock and awe when you sit down and you look at each section. So my intent for using this WISP here at Cisco Live was to help alleviate some of that anxiety that people will have when they first sit for the lab, because I wanted to try to experience that myself. I wanted to get familiar. How does the diagnostic section work in the lab? What is the troubleshooting section, right? And the config. And, what's that like to open up the requirements in the config and then to look at the large lab that you have to configure and just, figure out where to start. You can get all of that in WISP because the exams here it's not the same as a real lab, but it's pretty darn close. As a matter of fact, I'll tell you what the proctors told me. They had different proctors assigned to you, and you go in and they would actually, you could raise a card if you had a question. If you had a technical question about routing, you could raise a card and the proctor would come over and help you. If you had just a general question, which I did at the beginning, I'm like, okay, the first one I selected here, I saw DIAG, Diagnostic Practice Lab, Lab CCIE 3015. So I asked the proctor, is this like the real lab? He said, yes, this is essentially the same sort of scenario you'll have when you sit for the routing and switching lab in the diagnostic section, but we're going to give you about half of what you would normally get. So you're not getting a full diag practice lab. You're getting basically half the questions or half the material. It's like, awesome. That's perfect. That's just what I want. So I sat down, and then now I kind of know, the diagnostic above all else was a little fuzzy to me, what that was about. Well, now I know exactly, essentially the format, and I know what to expect when I get there in the future, and sit for the actual exam. So mission accomplished there for diagnostic. Well, guess what? They also have a troubleshooting practice lab. So the troubleshooting section is, I believe it's either 2 or 2.5 hours, depending on what you select. You have the option of borrowing a half hour from the config. But now I have a really good idea of what the troubleshooting section is like. And essentially, Proctor told me the same thing. This is like half. We're not giving you a full practice lab. We're giving a troubleshooting practice lab. We're giving you essentially half in terms of points and time. But the nice thing is you had as much time as you wanted on this particular lab. And same with the diagnostic, I believe. But it was timed, and it was awesome. So the first day I went and I did the diagnostic, or I intended to do the diagnostic. The diagnostic lab was broken. It wasn't ready, which I was expecting to happen more towards the end of the week. This was the start of the week, which I understand. It's the start of the week. But yeah, they said diagnostic lab is down right now, but you can do troubleshooting. So that's what I did. I ended up coming back the next day and doing diagnostics. So it was actually Tuesday that I took diagnostic. But yeah, other than that, for me, the lab experience itself went pretty much without a hitch. Then there's these configuration areas. I chose to do because I scored low in Layer 2 Technologies in my written exam. I came and asked, I think that same day, Monday, I said, let me do the Layer 2 Technologies Practice Lab. And it was awesome. I mean, they gave you this big, and again, this is the same software that, as I understand, that is used in the real lab. And the same sort of checks and everything are done to grade you. And these were graded, by the way. All these that would tell you at the end, not only would they tell you your grade, how you did, but you could look at the answer. That to me was extremely valuable. So it's not just, oh, I got, 5 out of 10 right. What did I get wrong? Why did I get them wrong? And, that was just extremely valuable to me as well. So, and I did okay. I did okay on diagnostic, I'm not as far as I'd like to be on those technologies, but I felt pretty good about, some of the ones I got right and some of the ones I got wrong. Some of the ones I got wrong, I had diagnosed the problem. I did not select sort of the recommended solution or the actual specific source, of the problem. I don't know. Like I would say, it was because of the interface configuration, but the correct answer would be because of the IP address configuration. Things, interpretive things like that. But I felt pretty good. But yeah, I selected Layer 2, and this is a mock-up of sort of the config section of the lab, and it was all Layer 2 stuff. And it was great. It had all the requirements, and then at the end, I was able to look at the solutions and compare what I got right and wrong. One issue I had on Monday is I was supposed to go to Router Gods, they had a formal dinner and they had an informal dinner. I went to the informal dinner Sunday, but I missed it because I was so into WISP and the walk-in self-paced labs, and I went, 3 o'clock, 3:30 something, or 4, to do this Layer 2 Technologies Practice Lab, and I ended up there till like 6:30, and I don't regret it. It was awesome. I would have liked to have done other labs, but anyway, this you can see if you're curious about this. Again, you may be watching this 2019 when you're sort of preparing. It's kind of what this series is geared toward. You're preparing to go. I definitely recommend checking out, and this will give you an idea of if it has what you want or not. For the other lab I took, one of the other labs I took was this one, 1000. Now, Troubleshooting Assessment Lab is something different. It is in the style of the CCIE exam troubleshooting section, but this is actually just the Cisco expert level training. It was an assessment lab of Cisco expert level training, formerly Cisco 360. So these are the modules you can go out and buy and take yourself. So, I don't know about these other labs, if there's any equivalent to that. I don't think there is. But the assessment labs and things like that, these are just things that they basically gave you one free. I think that may be the only one on here like this. Yeah, this is the only one. So this is the Cisco 360, Cisco Expert Level Training Assessment Lab. And the one they gave me in particular, let me pull it up here. I'll show you what it looks like. Some of you have done these. I've heard high praise for these. I understand now why. These are awesome. So the one they gave me is one I think I can go buy right now if I wanted to. Assessment Lab 8. Cisco Expert Level Training, Lab TA08. And this had sort of all the scenarios and the answers and how to do verification, everything. This lab took a long time. This may have been the one I did on Monday, I believe. But it was interesting because there was some PPP and some frame relay links and connections to troubleshoot, which I was not expecting. So this may be an older lab, I don't know. It was still very good. And then there was a grading section. There's an answer key afterwards. So green was good, red was bad, wrong. But it was great practice. And of course I got torn up in this lab. It killed me. And I've heard that about these, that these are really good assessment labs. They really test your areas of knowledge and really test your readiness for the actual lab. So I do plan to, in the future, I would like to purchase some of these from Cisco Expert Level Training. And again, it's just like theoretically what you would see in the real lab. So scheduling, let's talk about that a little bit. So again, I kind of told you the overall schedule throughout the day, but as I mentioned, it's walk-in and the line can get very long. It's right at the beginning of the week, right when World of Solutions open. That's probably the best time to go, not just because the labs aren't as beaten up, but the lines were not as long during that time. So I think my first lab I only had to wait like 30 minutes. But there was another day where I think I waited maybe 45 to an hour. Wednesday, it may have been, where the line was just very long. So, which is fine. It's worth it, folks. I was willing to wait in line. I was willing to wait 2 hours to take some of these exams. So be prepared. I was on my phone. I was checking Twitter. I was reading some of the materials, some of the swag I have, was going through that. I was on Discord with the land tamers, so it was fine. But yeah, just be prepared for that. Quality was awesome. Again, the quality of the content, the quality, the proctors. I actually met someone, I don't remember his name, but one of my proctors was someone who is in charge of like one of the programs. It may be routing and switching. He's in charge of one of the programs. As a matter of fact, I heard him give a breakout session on demand. I listened to one of his on-demand breakout sessions. So he's like the person in charge. And I think he was my first proctor or second proctor. So I asked him a few questions. I introduced myself. We introduced ourselves, and I talked to him just for a little bit. So the quality is really great of the people that you're getting there. These are people who I'm sure are highly interested in how the WISP runs and how these labs run. And it's kind of an experiment for them too. They get to see so many people together. That being said, it's not the same monitors, talking about facilities and quality, it's not the same monitors and the same setup exactly. That was the same for the testing center. I think the monitors might be a little smaller, and I had to, and there's people on each side. And if they call over the proctor and start a conversation, you're going to overhear all that. So, but again, it's not the real lab, so that's okay. Just be aware that you are in a huge room full of people. And at one point I saw Tony, he was doing his. I was, hey, Tony, so it's a less formal environment. But all in all, you can't really ask for much more. It was awesome. So my recommendation, definitely, if you're looking at this in 2019, wanted to go to Cisco Live, you've got to, look at that list, take a WISP lab, poke around. They have the new stuff like Vitella. I mean, just look at some of these topics, folks. Besides your hardcore, certification stuff, it was interesting to see the breadth. You know, they have firepower, identity management, information exchange, access control, ICE. So I got ICE, I got firepower, of course, SIP, ACI. I overheard someone next to me was doing ACI stuff. Meraki, VXLAN, just SD access, software defined access, SDA, yes, some of the new stuff, Cisco Prime, NSO, DNA Center, Intro to IPv6 Addressing Routing Lab. So, I mean, packet capturing tools. Just look at the very diverse set of topics that you can get hands-on in the lab and do this kind of stuff. EVPN, so segment routing, great stuff. Highly recommend it. I tell you, if it was, and this is something else in terms of attending, which I'm going to talk about at the last of the series, whether I recommend you attend or not. You can do these if you have just the regular Imagine Pass. They called it Imagine Pass this year. It's the quote-unquote guest pass. It's $700. So for me, it'd be worth that if I'm getting ready for the lab to come in here and just hammer on these config labs all 4 days. To me, it would be worth it, the $700, to be honest. So I definitely recommend walk-in self-paced labs, and for me, it was one of the highlights. As a matter of fact, the first day, I started skipping breakout sessions to go to do these labs, and people, you know, I kind of tweet out being a bit of a lab whore, and that's exactly what I was doing. But it was great. Moving right along, that's going to kind of end the Cisco Live Experience section. We'll talk about written prep now. I mentioned yesterday or day before yesterday, I had an outage last night, folks. 452, I think, or 432 fibers were cut in Metro Atlanta. Police had to come in, block off everything. They couldn't even use a backhoe. They had to hand dig like down to 10 feet. It was bad. But that impacted me streaming last night due to we had to check on some rerouting and things like that. Routing convergence. But anyway, I didn't get to study too much last night. The night before, though, I did go through the blueprint, and I did highlight some areas based on 33 days left, based on feedback from my notes immediately following the written exam. So I went through here. I started actually finding some of the solutions. I'm not showing this to you, but in my notes, I have a checklist of all the sort of issues I found that I did not know the answer to. And I found the answer to about half of those. And I've even started to update the drill worksheet with a couple of fields of things that, you know, I need to review and learn based on that. I also went back and marked some C's on here based on that feedback. And just based on my impression overall, I went back through here and reassessed myself. So I've got some C's to take care of, and C is the lowest category with 33 days left. So that's going to be my focus. And what else? So yeah, that's it. That's what I'm going to be working on tonight. I'm also going to upload tonight my YouTube video. I'm going to do a little commentary over the video of the actual EVNG Pro upgrade. So that will be uploaded tonight. Anyone interested in that? And also Network Collective membership review. I've been on the Slack channel here the last couple days, participating somewhat and just kind of getting a feel for who's there, what kind of content is there, what kind of things are going on in Network Collective as a member, as a subscribed member. So I'm on a trial membership that I was awarded at Cisco Live, along with this shirt, by the way, which, by the way, there's a link down here. I guess we can move on to meat chunks. All right, so not only is a lot of the on-demand content now available, folks, so definitely if you were unable to attend, like I said, you can go here, and if you want to look up, for example, OSPF, make sure you filter by 2018 Orlando. I'm amazed. So how many days is this? This is like Troubleshooting OSPF was on was that Tuesday morning? So about a week later, they have the video up, which is awesome. Now, granted, I would love to see it up even faster than that, right? Hey, we're in the modern day of streaming, and they did stream some things, but this, compared to previous years, this is awesome. This is the kind of thing I want to see, is a much quicker availability of these. Now, this is, Nick Russo, Rockstar. These were available before, but now you've got the video. You do have to log in, of course. And I actually, there may or may not be a way to do a direct download of some videos. I won't comment on that. See Discord. But yeah, so here's the video in all its glory. You'll see me on there sort of eagerly trying to answer questions and get the shirt, which I was awarded. And by the way, I don't know if you can see it here. Yeah, OSPF Area 51. The t-shirts are here. Now, this is somewhat in Router Gods, and you'll see Router Gods t-shirts in there too, but the ones that Nick gave away in his session are here on this link, and this is actually, this is CCIE who did these designs. As a matter of fact, I don't know if this is still the case. I can't say go out and buy them because it goes to a good cause. I can't say that in this particular forum on my channel. Because, again, these t-shirts were initially sent out, and some of the proceeds went to the Router Gods group and was donated to someone being able to come who had never been to Cisco Live before. I don't know if that's still the case now, but no matter what, they're cool shirts. So he's got a couple on here that are pretty slick. Network meme on T-Republic. So, yeah, this is the one. This is the most popular shirt. Looks like it's $14 for 1 day. Check that out, guys. This is one I wanted too, NSSA. Shoot, I might go ahead and order that. 7 hours left. And did someone call for a DR? OSPF, so. And then once you pop, you can't stop LDP. So yeah, check out that link there if you want to buy some of those. So yeah, check out the on-demand content. It's there. How Netflix works. This is a pretty cool blog that I read most of today. I've always wondered about that. What I really want to know is how Twitch works. Because this is cool, but this is, on-demand content. What about live content? How does that work the way it does? It just baffles my mind. But anyway, that's all we got tonight, folks. Thanks so much for stopping by. Sorry about the Twitch stream. I'll work on that. We'll get that resolved before tomorrow. Either way, thanks for stopping in. Thanks for your support. Hit that follow and subscribe here on YouTube if you have not already. And again, part 5 tomorrow. Let me just give a preview of that. Sorry, I had that up here before. I think we're going to start talking about breakout sessions. I may change this. No, we'll probably do that tomorrow. And I think I had split it up. No, we'll go ahead and I'm going to give a review of, I'm going to let you know what breakout sessions I attended, which ones I recommend you watch if you were not at Cisco Live, and why. So thanks so much for hanging out, folks. Appreciate everyone stopping by the LAN Tamper stream, and always appreciate the support. Again, please hit that like button and subscribe, and we shall see you back here tomorrow night, 7 p.m. Eastern on the LAN Tamper stream. Have a good night.